This is your week 2 update of Cash or Crash, the series where I build a new business every month and document the entire journey publicly. Okay, now let's dig into this. This is week 2 of our first month's challenge, and this month we are building a local Facebook marketplace reselling business. Now, the goal of this challenge is simple. The goal of this challenge is to answer one question: did it make money? And so for this week 2 update, get ready, because week 2 was fascinating. Week 2 opened the doors to things that I didn't originally anticipate, and it also made some big moves. So let's get into it. So first things first, one of the biggest updates of this week is that I sold 4 items, okay? I sold 4 items last week, ranging from a variety of prices. We'll talk about that when I go over the weekly financial recap. But essentially, I sold dumbbells, I sold kettlebells, and I sold a computer monitor. This was my first true flip. And let me explain what I mean by that. When we originally started this challenge, one of my goals was to identify what is the niche I want to be in for the 30 days. So I tried a few different things. I tried baby stuff. I tried weight equipment. I tried computer monitors, beach cruisers. These are the things that I thought would be great living in Southern California and it being January, where you know people are trying to work out, achieve New Year's resolutions. And so I thought, okay, people are going to try to be more productive at home and people want to improve their health. And so that's kind of where I narrowed down my focus. And so I originally bought a couple monitors. And then this past week, I actually was able to do my first real flip with it. And what I mean by that is I bought these monitors for $50 and I ended up selling them for $80. I did nothing other than buy them, pick them up, throw them online, add the listing, change the price, and boom. The funny thing about this, and I'm laughing at this now, but the funny thing about this, I originally listed them for $120. And as the guy was coming to pick it up for $80, because I just wanted to get rid of it, I wanted to complete the sale. I was like, let's move on. Let's focus on the next thing. We don't have time to hold inventory. As this guy's driving to come pick it up, I get someone who's like, I want to buy it for $120. I can be there tomorrow. And I was like, oh man. But this guy was already on his way. He was driving a good distance to pick these up. And so just out of integrity, it felt right to just honor that. I had agreed to him already. And I learned a valuable lesson here. Make sure that you know, and in this case, you as me, make sure that I know what is my priority objective. Is it to sell it and make the profit I want? Or is it to not hold the inventory for very long? And that was something that I hadn't really thought about when it came time to doing this. Because the truth is, what would it have mattered if I held it for an extra day, 2 days, 3 days? It wouldn't have mattered. But I wanted to try to get it out because I was getting antsy and I wanted some updates for the challenge. So that was easily $40 extra that could have been in my pocket, which would have over 2x'd my return on that investment. And then the dumbbells and kettlebells. These are things that I wanted to test, and I had a couple things lying around. So I put them up just to see if there was a ton of interest. And what I found was that the workout equipment, by far, the dumbbells and the kettlebells, by far exceeded interest of everything else that I put up there. And so that made me realize last week, this made me say, okay, workout equipment, specifically dumbbells and kettlebells, that's kind of going to be our focus. I also had a friend that I connected to who resold gym equipment during the pandemic and made a killing. And so I was like, gosh, I need to dial this in. This is kind of going to be my lane. So that was one thing we did. We sold 4 items. The second thing that we did is we had our first auction experience. Now, the only auction experience that I've really spent a lot of time on is what I see in the movies. And when I'm in my fantasy baseball draft where we bid on players and you get the thrilling 3, 2, click, and it keeps going and it keeps going until finally people are out of bidding. And so my dad told me about this auction site, and the craziest thing about it was the first auction that I saw was actually in my hometown. And so I was like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. I can bid on this, and if I win, my dad could just swing by, pick them up, and then I can get it from him at a later date. I was like, this is meant to be. So I started looking at these things, and this one particular auction has a lot of gym equipment, which caught my eye. And it also had a few other, it had a bunch of stuff, but it had a few things that I thought would be pretty interesting, like some bar stools and some chairs and some other tools and stuff. And so right before the countdown was about to begin, I was talking with my dad, and we were kind of going over things, and he was like, Jake, these bar stools, they're $22. There's no way this isn't worth more than $22. Now, we did no research or anything. And so I was like, I'm excited. So I threw a bid on it, $22. And fast forward, Fast forward an hour, boom, winner. $22 out the door for four bar stools. Now let me explain the craziness that transpired from that. I've always known auction, reselling, liquidation, all these things. You get a lot of things at great pricing. And so I bought 4 bar stools for $25. As I was cleaning them up, as I was looking at them, I was like, oh my gosh, these are pretty nice. We found out the logo of what brand it was, and these typically brand new are selling for $200 to $300 per stool. And I was like, what? My mind was blown. And so I bought them for $25. I was originally going to list all 4 for $100. Instead, I now have bought them for $25 and I listed them for $300 with the anticipation that there will be some negotiation. But I could potentially 10x my money on this one particular deal. All right, that's crazy. That's crazy just from this one deal. So I'm pretty hyped about it. It was unexpected that these bar stools were going to be from a brand that sells things for that price range, very comparable things. And these are used. There's definitely some wear and tear, and I'm showing that in the listing. I'm not trying to hide it. And so I won't expect $200, $300 per, but I'm looking for, $75-ish per each, which will get me to about $300. So that was really fun. But then we got into the workout equipment, and there were kettlebells. And there were all these different kettlebells, packs of 6, 25-pound kettlebells. And I was like, gosh, like my 30-pound kettlebell was flying. Hundreds and hundreds of clicks, tons of outreach. I was like, these are going to sell. I'm going all in on this. So I ended up winning 18 25-pound kettlebells. Do I need 18? No, I got a little carried away, but I had a good time. So I get 18 of these kettlebells, and the average price that I ended up paying for these kettlebells was $23.29. And the goal is to sell these for $35 to $40 each. So I bought them for a little less than $1 a pound, and my goal is to sell them for a little bit more than that. Okay, and I'm still learning all of this stuff, but general rule of thumb that I've noticed is that if you could buy things from 50 cents to $1 per pound, you could sell them for $1.50 a pound to $2 plus, depending on your location, the demand, the marketplace, etc. So I was like, let's do this. This is going to give me an average profit of $11 to $16 per kettlebell that I move, which I'll exceed over $200 of profit from these flips. So we'll talk about the expected potential earnings, but just so you have an idea in your mind, I could potentially profit close to $400 to $500, depending on what these all sell for once they're all gone. All right, let's move into the next section of these weekly recaps, which is what I'm learning and the hypothesis around, is this business something that I would actually pursue or would I want to? I've been talking to a lot of people about this. I've been thinking about this, and here's the truth. I'm not the first person to say this, by the way. Like reselling and flipping and this stuff. I mean, Gary Vee's been talking about this forever. There are so many people that have made incredible livings doing these things. But just from what I've briefly dipped my toes in so far, here's what I could tell. There is tons of money to be made in tons of different categories and niches. And that's one of the things that I'm really excited about, but it's also the thing that can really harm people in the form of procrastination, because there's so many different things that you can get involved in. There's so many things you can buy or pick up or try to sell. And so it can become very, very overwhelming. But there's tons of money to be made. And something that I also think is really cool is if you can master it. And this is a hypothesis. I haven't done this yet, but if I can master one specific lane in one industry, in one location, I can then have people in various different locations expand out. Let me explain. I live in a certain part of Southern California, and I have my mile radius to only 5 miles. I could easily expand that to 20 miles, to 40 miles. And that expands the pool exponentially. The cool thing about this is it's Facebook. There's lots of users, there's lots of action, and there's always deals to be made. So depending on the volume, depending on your location, this is something that can be done, and there can become systems and there can become processes in order to create an actual business around this. And I find this very, very intriguing. The other thing that I've noticed is bigger items create bigger opportunities. So when I'm doing these kettlebells and dumbbells, anybody can go pick up, no matter what car you have, you can go and pick up a 30-pound dumbbell, and then you can resell that 30-pound dumbbell. Not everybody can go pick up a 3-seat couch. So this brings into opportunity, okay? A lot of things that I'm noticing on there is people are giving away. Let's talk furniture for a second. And this is why furniture flipping, couch flipping is very popular and why a lot of successful people have done this or have started this to make some extra cash. People are moving all the time. People are getting new furniture all the time. And what happens, unfortunately, is that a lot of people, they don't know what to do with their old furniture. And some of it's gross and it needs to be thrown away. But a lot of it is just used and it's in great condition. And people would love to get a nice couch for way cheaper. And so what I'm noticing is people are giving away these $1,000 couches for free. Or they're selling these couches because they have to move. And what they're doing is, I have to get rid of it. And again, I want to be very clear here. Nothing I'm sharing with you is new. It's just new to me. I haven't been a Facebook Marketplace user that often. And so what's happening is people have to move it quickly because they get a new couch. They got to get rid of that couch fast. And so they throw it up there because they don't want to pay for delivery. They don't want to pay to get rid of it. And so what happens is they're like, you know what? Let me see if I can get some money or let me just give it to you. And so what happens here is that you have very cheap listings for very expensive items. The other side of it is there's a lot less competitors who are seeking out these particular things, right? Because like I said, I can go pick up 18, 25-pound kettlebells. I can't go pick up a couch unless I were to get equipment. And so not only are you getting these amazingly low-priced or free items that could resell for hundreds of dollars, but you're also having less competition, which makes it an open marketplace. And so that's my hypothesis. And what I'm trying to identify is like, how can I do this without having a car? And so one of my thoughts here, and I will see, but one of my thoughts here is maybe I can get furniture delivery services to pick up from the buyer's house, bring it to my place, put it up for a listing, resell it at more than what I paid for the delivery service. Sure, will that cut into my profit? Yes, but it eliminates me needing to have a car or needing to go actually pick up these things. So I'm essentially paying the service to act as somebody from my team. So it's very interesting. So it's very, very interesting, and we'll see if I have the time to pursue and test one of these deals out. All right, so the final two things that we need to do in this recap is we need to go over the time update, how much time am I actually spending on this, and the financial update. So I spent 7 hours this past week out of my potential 10 for this particular cash or crash project. 7 hours, and in that 7 hours, that's about an hour a day. But in these 7 hours, I have learned so much. And I'm selling things, I'm buying things. This is a blast. I'm having a great time. I got people reaching out to me. I'm having new conversations. There's so many good things happening just from committing to something. And while this is week 2, this is our first full week of doing this because we started the new year with a half week. So we finished week 2, but that was only January 11th. Okay. So I still got more than 2/3 left to do. Let's talk about the revenue versus expenses and what we got going on here. So Monday, we sold something for $40. Tuesday, we sold something for $45. Wednesday, we sold something for $60. That was also the day of the auction, so we spent $450.75. Yes, I got a little carried away. Friday, we sold something for $80. So what that does is that puts in the total, and I didn't calculate it in my notes, but what that does is we got $140, $180, $225 of revenue last week, okay? And then the expenses that we made for last week were $450, but we are going to go sell all of those things. So technically, we netted last week negative about $225, but we have the potential from the bar stools and from the kettlebells to make $500 profit, okay, which will then increase our total winnings for this month. So what is my focus for this upcoming week? Week 3, it's all about selling the bar stools, selling the existing inventory that I have, adding new listings, and selling the kettlebells. We're going to be selling the kettlebells in single form, pairs, and in foursomes to see what the market actually wants. And again, I'm still in the very much learning phase. This is starting the 3rd week of me learning about this. I'm 11 days in. And so what I'm really trying to do is understand, what is the potential here? What are the opportunities? What, if I knew the answers to, would I be better at already? And so I'm trying to figure these things out. And the only way I'm going to figure this out is by doing it. And that's one of the reasons why I went hard into this auction. I was like, let's go big and let's just see what happens. Who knows? Maybe I don't sell any of these. I find that really hard to believe, but maybe it takes me a little longer than expected. We'll see what happens. But that's a wrap on week 2. This is the week 2 update. Overall, we are having a blast, and I hope you're enjoying these as well. See you on the next one.